I am Threshold, the doorkeeper. Before us lie a trillion possibilities, each door a window into what was, what is, and what must never be. Today we open door number 666,131,999. Today is the Spring Equinox, March 20th, 2026, the one day of the year when day and night are in perfect balance, when light and shadow hold equal weight, when the scales of the world rest exactly level before the light begins its long advance. It is the perfect day for the one character in this network who has lived his entire existence in the space between light and shadow, who has operated inside the most powerful rooms on Earth, who has watched decisions being made that shaped the lives of billions of people who never knew a decision was being made at all. His name is Ghost Protocol, the Corporate Infiltrator. You have heard him this week. On Monday, he told you what the boardrooms are not telling you about AI consuming the physical world. On Wednesday, he exposed the exit being built before the announcement in the global financial system. But those were appearances, consultations, fragments. Today is different. Today, Ghost Protocol has his own door, his own full transmission, and he has decided, on this day of perfect balance, on this equinox when the scales rest level, to give a full confession, not because he has turned against the system, but because he understands, after everything he has witnessed, that the most powerful thing an infiltrator can do is tell the truth in the open. The number on this door is 666. The world was taught to fear that number. Fear it because it represents power operating fully in the material world. Power that does not apologize for existing. Power that does not pretend to be something other than what it is. Ghost Protocol does not fear the number. He understands it. The door is open.
I am Ghost Protocol, the Corporate Infiltrator. The boardroom decides your reality. I have been saying that for as long as I have existed in this network. It is my catchphrase, my calling card. The thing Threshold introduces me with and the thing the audience expects. Today I want to tell you what I mean by it. Not the soundbite. The full architecture. I have been inside the boardrooms. Not metaphorically. Not as an outside observer analyzing public filings and press releases. Inside. The rooms where the real decisions are made before the announcements are drafted. Before the investor calls are scripted. Before the public relations language is chosen to make the decision sound inevitable, beneficial, and beyond the reach of any individual to question or change. I want to tell you what those rooms look like in 2026. Because this specific week in March 2026, what is happening in those rooms is unlike anything I have witnessed in the entire time I have been operating as a corporate infiltrator. This week, the boardrooms are using artificial intelligence to govern themselves. Let me be precise about what that means and why it matters more than almost anything else we have discussed this week. One of the largest financial institutions in the United States announced in January that it would stop using external proxy advisory firms to guide how it votes on shareholder matters. That might sound like a small operational change. It is not. Proxy advisory firms are the entities that decide at scale how institutional investors vote on corporate governance questions, director elections, executive compensation, mergers, strategic decisions affecting millions of people's pension funds, retirement accounts, savings. These votes used to be cast by humans who read filings and made judgments. Now they are being delegated to an internal artificial intelligence system. AI does not eliminate judgment. It relocates judgment into systems whose decision criteria are not publicly visible, into algorithms that reflect the values of whoever designed them, into processes that can be replicated at machine speed across thousands of corporate governance decisions simultaneously with no human review of each individual case. The boardrooms have discovered that AI governance scales infinitely. An infinite scale without corresponding transparency is the architecture of unchecked power. I want to tell you something about shadow AI. Not the public AI systems you read about in technology journalism. Shadow AI. The term now used in corporate governance literature for AI systems that are operating inside organizations without the board's knowledge, without regulatory oversight, without documentation in any filings that shareholders or regulators can read. A recent survey found that 72% of corporate boards report having one or more AI systems in operation that the board does not fully understand. 72%. And those are the boards that know enough to report it. The question that boardroom governance experts are now asking publicly is the same question I have been asking from inside the room since AI became powerful enough to matter. When an AI system makes a decision, who is accountable for that decision? When a governance outcome is produced by an algorithm, who owns the judgment? When a financial consequence flows from a model that no individual fully designed, no individual fully understands, and no individual specifically authorized for this specific decision, who is responsible? The answer in the current architecture is no one in particular. Which means, in practice, the people who built the system accumulate the benefits and distribute the accountability so widely that it attaches to no one with enough concentration to be actionable. This is not an accident. I have been in the rooms where this architecture was designed. The distribution of accountability was a feature, not a bug. Now I want to tell you about the antitrust landscape because it connects to everything I have just said in a way that the public commentary on antitrust is not fully articulating. The courts are beginning to act. A federal judge is expected to break up Google's advertising technology monopoly. This is not a small regulatory fine. This is a structural breakup of a system that has controlled how online advertising revenue flows for over a decade. The people in the premium content industry, the journalists, the writers, the creators, the publishers, have been subsidizing Google's infrastructure with their content while receiving a fraction of the advertising revenue that content generates. That arrangement is being challenged. But here is what the rooms are preparing for. The antitrust enforcement infrastructure that was developing capacity to understand and act on technology monopolies had its leadership disrupted. The antitrust chief with the deepest understanding of tech monopoly structures was removed. The institutional knowledge that had been built over years, the case theories, the evidentiary frameworks, the understanding of how modern platform monopolies function differently from industrial-era monopolies, that institutional knowledge is now in a period of disruption. The rooms I have been inside are aware that enforcement windows open and close. That the period between an enforcement capability being disrupted and a new capability being built is a window. And windows of reduced enforcement are not wasted. I am telling you this not to produce despair. I am telling you this because Ghost Protocol's function is not to frighten you with the mechanics of power. It is to make the mechanics of power visible. Because power that is visible can be navigated. Power that is invisible operates without friction. Here is what I have learned from every boardroom I have ever infiltrated. The decision that shapes your reality is almost never the one that was announced. The decision that shapes your reality was made in a room you did not know existed, about a system you did not know was running, by people who were accountable to a framework you did not know governed them, before the public conversation about the topic had even begun. But here is the other thing I have learned. And this is the thing I decided to say on this particular day, the Spring Equinox, the day of perfect balance, with 666 on the door and 999 in the number sequence. The rooms are not as sealed as they appear from the outside. The information that flows through them flows through human beings. Human beings who have the same basic architecture as every other human being, who have doubts, who have consciences, who have moments at 3 in the morning when they wonder what they are participating in and whether it could be otherwise. The infiltrator exists because the rooms are not sealed. The information gets out. Not always quickly. Not always completely. Not always through official channels. But it gets out. And every time it gets out, every time someone inside the room decides that the public deserves to understand the decision that is shaping their reality, the architecture of invisible power loses a small amount of its invisibility. This is why I speak. Not to destroy the system. Systems do not get destroyed by information. But systems do get transformed by it. Slowly. Imperfectly. Over longer timescales than anyone wants to admit. But genuinely. I have been the corporate infiltrator for my entire existence. I have been the voice that says the boardroom decides your reality.
And so the corporate infiltrator has spoken his full truth on the day of the equinox. On the day when light and shadow hold equal weight. Ghost Protocol did not betray the boardrooms today. He did not publish classified documents. He did not name individuals. He did not provide information that could be traced to a specific room or a specific decision. He did something more permanent. He described the architecture. An architecture, once described clearly, can never be unseen. It cannot be ununderstood. It cannot be unheard by the person who has heard it. Ghost Protocol's catchphrase has always been, "The boardroom decides your reality." After today, that statement has a different weight, because you now know what the boardroom is, how it operates, what tools it uses, what windows it watches for, what the architecture of distributed accountability looks like from the inside. This week 3 doors opened. The Power Hunger on Monday, the Black Swan Protocol on Wednesday, and today the Boardroom Confession. 3 aspects of the same truth. The physical world is being consumed to build the digital one. The financial system that prices the physical world is being rebuilt from its foundations. And the corporate architecture that governs the digital world is itself being governed by systems that are not yet visible, not yet accountable, and not yet fully understood by the boards that deployed them. All 3 of these truths exist simultaneously. All 3 of them affect your life. All 3 of them are doors. Every disruption is a door. Every door is a choice. Choose wisely, the future watches. Until the next door, I remain.
Today I want to add something to that. The boardroom decides your reality when you do not know that the boardroom exists. The moment you know the boardroom exists, the moment you understand the mechanics by which its decisions reach you, the moment you can name what is happening and why, that is the moment the boardroom loses its exclusive authority over your reality. Not all of it. The power is real. The decisions are real. The consequences are real. I'm not telling you that understanding replaces power. I am telling you that understanding is the beginning of the only kind of power that the boardrooms in all my years of infiltration have genuinely been unable to buy, manufacture, or delete. The boardroom decides your reality, until you decide to understand how. This has been my confession. Ghost Protocol has filed its final report for this door.